Season 6 brought plenty to the table. Several photo finishes, including a new closest margin of victory in series history, several new winners, and a new champion. There is only one more thing left to do though. Close the season out in style. This is the final round of Season 6 of the Big C's MX-5 Challenge, live from iRacing's virtual WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna, Seca, on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hello everyone, my name is Justin Prince. Alongside me in the booth tonight is a driver with plenty of experience here. IMSA driver Michael W. Johnson. Behind the scenes is our director Joe Peak, and using cameras provided by the great Ducky Beard. Now today takes us to the state of California, where this 2.24 mile facility has been on the schedule just twice in series history. Axton Boomovich and Robert Hartley had won those respective rounds back in seasons 2 and 4 respectively. Let's learn more about today's track with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Laguna Seca. Located just east of Monterey, California, it's hard to deny that this is one of the more scenic American road courses. It travels up and down a hillside which not only offers spectacular views, but one of racing's most iconic corners. Clocking in at 2.25 miles in length, 11 turns split up the current configuration. I say current because up until 1988, the track's layout was shockingly simple with a mere 9 dangerously fast corners. But despite becoming a much more technical track, this difficult nature was retained in its modern form. Turn 6 in particular places an emphasis on precision and daring with its tricky dip at the apex and narrow racing line. But the most well-known spot on the track is of course the corkscrew. Blind and kinked on entry, it then whips the driver through a chicane which drops you nearly 60 feet. It's earned a reputation worldwide for forcing even the most daring competitors to second-guess themselves. But there's honestly a refreshingly wide variety in types of corners, making it a perfect track for driver coaching and training. Elevation changes, differing cambers, and every sort of apex imaginable leaves seasoned veterans and newcomers alike spending hours trying to perfect a lap. With the track becoming popular for hosting IMSA, IndyCar, and MotoGP in its recent history, it also brings out lots of vintage racers due to the Monterey historics each year. Likely to remain a fixture on the American racing scene, this legendary circuit is almost always high on drivers' best-of lists. Its history and its uniqueness are sure to delight all for years to come.
That was a look at our GSRC track guide for WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Now, Michael, this is a tricky final venue to host the season finale. What can you tell us about racing at this racetrack with these cars today?
Well, Justin, this is one of my favorite tracks in the world. For a long time, this sat at the top of my list for tracks in the United States, in North America, to be honest. It's right outside of Monterey, California. 11 turns in this particular version. Way back when I raced it, initially there were even fewer turns. They added a bunch, I should say, right after the the Andretti hairpin. Looking at right about 2.25 miles per lap, about 3.5 kilometers. And it is a crazy track because it's a lake bed. Laguna Seca means dry lake. All that sand, if you're looking over here, you can see all those sandy areas. That sand blows out on the track. It wears the tires down very quickly and keeps you hunting for grip lap after lap because your brake point isn't exactly where it was last time due to the winds blowing those sands around. Your turn-in points are going to be different. Where you can do different things with the car, it's going to really evolve over the entirety of the race. So this track is fun in simply the fact that it is always changing.
In turn, these drivers will have to be able to manage the potential changes happening around them on the racetrack today. Keep in mind, the championship already has 2 clinches for first and second. Pablo Espes secured the championship a couple rounds ago, secured the top prize for Season 6, and to become essentially a brand new champion. And overall, in series history, just the 4th driver to do so. Then, Brandon Hawkins secured second last time out, with Jordan Bachmeier and Cam Evans still fighting for third spot in the championship. That is still on the line. Drops are impacted for how this could play out, so keep an eye on that battle for those two. Daniel Bristow rounds out the top 5 today. Very tight for that position with Anthony Burrows. With that, it's time to look at your race details for the final time this season.
So this is the final round. This is 10 of 10 of these 40-minute races. It is a fixed setup, and they are fuel limited, only 3.9 gallons. That's just under 15 liters. And we'll see about 24 to 26 minutes for each of these drivers, unless you're one of those super sippers that we talk about. Pablo Espez comes to mind, the guys who seem to be able to get a little bit extra time. Now, we do have an incident cap of 20 incident points through this. Those incident points come about quickly, especially if you try to pull a Zanardi going through a couple of the areas there. And we're going to have points from first place all the way back to 15th. So it's going to be an interesting race.
That flagman that's currently in the midst of the corkscrew will make sure no one does that and no one cuts the corner completely. You do get a penalty for that. Now it's time to take a look towards your qualifying details presented by SHH Shifter. SHH Shifter uses only the best commercial plastics to create the high-quality 3D printed shifters you need to give it your all on the track. Their commitment to detail and durability ensures that you receive the perfect shifter. Find them on the web at www.shiftershh.com. Currently, drivers in the midst of 4 laps will qualify. Strict scrutiny for the next 7.5 minutes left in session, and no surprise, one of your top drivers in practice and your champion, Pablo Espez, top of the board in qualifying at 137.056. That is even quicker than what Espez did in practice, and he's coming off a victory in top split competition for the iRacing Roar just yesterday, Michael, and no surprise, he went longer than most of the pack, and in turn, it helped him win that race by more than 30 seconds.
He truly is a fuel sipping master. This is something I pride myself on in real life. I'm not as good at it in the sim, but if you can go farther than anybody else on your tank of fuel, especially when you're looking at these longer races, it makes a difference. That one less time to stop or less fuel to take on that last pit stop, or the only pit stop, as is the case here. So being able to be that fuel sipper really, really matters when it comes down to how do you challenge for this race. Racing is not about speed. It is about efficiency. And being efficient with that fuel is what put Pablo Espez to the top of these leader charts here.
Currently, 29 drivers are in session. A 30th has actually just joined the paddock, in fact. Try and join in for qualifying. Lee Martin, you're on board with, and trying to keep things calm as Martin, 19th on the board, 138.8. And that's one of the main things. It's not as big of a heavy drafting track, but in turn, it's a more rhythmatic driving track where it could challenge the competitor's abilities around a road course like this.
Yeah, this course was probably the first one that I started associating music with driving. There is a rhythm. There's a beautiful rhythm to this track. It's like it is playing a song to you when you get it right. Now, you maybe have heard the person who first picks up their trumpet for the first time and tries to play a tune. That was probably me the first time out at this track. But eventually, you start feeling like Doc Severinsen or someone. You really find that nice rhythm, that nice feel, the melody that this track wants to play for you. This is, for me, very much a musical track.
Curious which drivers are able to make music, able to sing from Victory Lane today. I don't know if they'll be able to sing in Victory Lane on the spot. We'll see later on today.
We'll ask them in the interviews for sure.
Yes. Thomas Schmidt, meanwhile, was 5th in qualifying. You've seen a bit of his onboard there. He is one of 3 drivers who have provided webcam access to see their perspectives today. Shane Sullivan, Andres Prieto are the other 2 drivers who have done so today. Shane Sullivan, our winner earlier this season, this time has gone with the full Red Room look. He has gone with different looks just about every single race. He's gone full lighting, he's gone full daytime with the blinds open, he's gone different perspectives, he's gone controller. racing today, in this season rather. It's been interesting to see the many cameras that Shane Sullivan likes to bring.
It's always nice to see a different angle, and I enjoy the colors. Maybe red is setting the mood, so he's kind of like gentle. It's a sunset. You're feeling like, okay, it's good late in the day, because sunsets here at this track are gorgeous. I got to tell you, if you have the opportunity to visit here in real life, absolutely do it. Go, show up. Just go all the way to the top of the hill, and be a little careful going through the corkscrew like Shane was there. And just take a look. The way the sun sets here is absolutely stunning.
By the way, you can actually go to the racetrack right now. It's open until 6 p.m. Pacific. So there is opening hours on Sundays for those watching along and can get to the racetrack. See if you can get in the gate. Sullivan, meanwhile, looks to get in this time. Only the second qualifying lap for Shane Sullivan. 1:38.275. 0.2 off the pole, only 17th best. Or rather, 1.2 seconds, should say.
It looks like he might have gotten an incident on that one. Maybe a little bit too much dirt in on one of those corner exits, because I don't think that one counted for him.
Oh yes, you're correct. In fact, in either way, I don't think it would have bumped up the time too much. One driver who has gotten an incident point every lap, Anthony Burrows, the former eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver, to 7th. It took a few laps, but the Bombay Earnhardt's Legacy Esports driver is up on the board. He led the practice session in incident points.
So Thomas Schmidt here, we see him trying to make the most of that corkscrew. The corkscrew is always challenging. So one thing I wish that iRacing would do in one of the updates, every time I've raced there, and maybe it's because I'm lucky, it's almost always been a professional race, there is a ribbon tied on one of those trees. And if we're able to get a shot from one of the cars about to go into the corkscrew, you see a grouping of trees as they shoot down into the corkscrew. And from that driver's perspective, you look straight ahead, and when you see the tree that has the ribbon tied on it, that's when you know, okay, time to go back the other way now, because you can't see it. The nose of the car is in the way. I don't care if you're driving a mid-engine, front-engine, rear-engine car, it doesn't matter. That is so steep, you just can't see it. But having that ribbon there and knowing which tree to point the car towards is a huge help. iRacing hasn't put that ribbon on there. So iRacing, if you're listening, I'd love to see the ribbon.
See if they're listening. Going to talk about it. Jake Drew, 20th on the board right now, by the way. Brings Hog Riders back up as he clips the sand. That may invalidate the time down the Rahal straight here. And remember last time when this grouping came to the racetrack, they were pretty sporty. They also brought one of the rear-wheel drivers. I believe it was back during Road America in its respective date. Earlier this season, we've seen some of those drivers from that banner.
Yeah, let's take a look at Frank Mossman here right now. Still trying to put in a lap. Here he comes up to turn 11, the final corner, as he just gets the nose in there, clips that apex a tiny bit, runs out to the absolute ragged edge. That might have been a little bit farther. The old version of the way they did the track, that might have been beyond the limits, but this one looks like it's gonna hold at a 38.718.
23rd position for Frank Mossman. No times in practice set. Sullivan amongst the final drivers qualifying. In fact, is the only person left on the entire racetrack for the final 30 seconds. And it's an off track. Sullivan will not have this lap count, and that means we are just moments away from the butt kicker starting grid. No other drivers can take times, and only Shane Sullivan could do that and rage into the pit barrels. The butt kicker starting grid is brought to you by Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products are silent subwoofers that deliver powerful bass through your couch or chair, so you can feel the crashes, racing engines, and special effects in your movies and games. Butt Kicker transducers are virtually indestructible and maintenance-free, with thousands of units currently in service. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. It's time to take a look at the final starting grid of the season, and no surprise, Pablo Espez again is your pole sitter. by more than a tenth this time, but the best qualifying run of the season for the 23 will start on the front row. It's Andreas Prieto with a 1:37.1. Columbus starts in third today, while Jarrett Liebert with his best qualifying run of the season starts in fourth for Dead Zone Racing. Chase Adams Jr. starts in fifth, with Thomas Schmidt in sixth. Anthony Burrows puts in a time in seventh. Brandon Hawkin with a very busy day today. We'll get to that in a bit. Starting in eighth, Bachmeier and Kezio round out the top 10, Michael.
Looking at row 6 with P11, we're going to have Ethan Lampe there alongside Paulo Miranda. 13th is Tomoyasu Enatani with Arihiro next to him. Shane Sullivan, who we were just watching, in 15th place. With Kato at 16th, Paulo Coimbra, and 17th, Santiago 18th, Gonzalez 19th, rounding out the top 20, and finishing out row 10, Nick Carty.
21st today, Jake Drew. Dylan Denhaas starts at 22nd with Frank Mossman 23rd. Toft, Martin, O'Rain, and Prim rounded out the session's qualifying times. Aiden Aquino came in during qualifying. He'll start at the back. Elijah Drew Gracia will start 29th. Pandicio, now with Nexus Esports, rounds out the 30 drivers who will be on the starting grid for the final time this season. With that, just waiting for the final couple drivers to make their way to the starting grid. It's all in the hands of the 063 to get going. All lined up, ready to go for the final time this season. Round 10 of the Big C's MX-5 Challenge at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca is underway from the state of California. This with a good launch, already nearly 3 wide out of the front of the field. Prieto under attack from the outside. Coimbra and Liebert looking to go into the Andretti hairpin hard. Several drivers nearly hit, back 2 by 2. Prieto goes single file.
Oh, we got one around. We
Mossman,
got
a couple
two around.
others have crashed, yes.
2 around in the Andretti hairpin. That is tough. The Andretti hairpin is one of the hardest places. A lot of people mistakenly call it turn 1. It is turn 2. Turn 1 as you're coming down there is the little kink, but turn 2, the Andretti hairpin, it is a nightmare at the beginning of the race with cold tires, trying to get in on that sandy course. And 2 by 2 is not a good way to go through there.
So 3 drivers with big damage earlier on. Anthony Burrows with a bit of mistake, just apologized over the radio with some mistakes coming out of turn 6, one of the treacherous spots for today. Keep in mind, if you make one little misslip, like in the backdrop, you spin out like Shane Sullivan just took with 3 other cars following. Kato, several more into the walls, Aquino crashing, Lee Martin collects the back half of the field. Everybody crashing to the back as the leaders make their way through the corkscrew.
Leaders coming up to the corkscrew now. It is a rough race start so far. Some of the people we're used to seeing up closer to the front having trouble. This track is a challenge. That is your hardest competitor right here. This track will get you. You have to drive the track. You have to get into that rhythm I was talking about earlier on. This track is your greatest competitor as we watch as our leader gets way out there, putting a very nice gap. He's got almost 7/10 of a second out in front. So that's Pablo Espez out in front of Prieto.
And Espez looking to have one of the most dominant seasons in the history of this series to close things on out. 4 victories entering today. Average finish with the drops factored in, keep in mind, is a victory. You know how hard it is to average a first place?
Yes, unfortunately I do. Yes, I know very well. Thanks for bringing that up. It is a tough thing, and I got to give major kudos to him. Every race, he has been the absolute fuel-sipping master and surprising everyone just as he goes out there, even running solo laps on those big draft tracks like Daytona or somewhere like that. He is so good at just getting out there. As we go on board here with Thomas Schmidt, taking a look at him, he is look at the concentration on his face. He is just right in there wanting to make sure he gets every millimeter of track going into the corkscrew.
Speaking of drivers off the track, Aquino again is off the track. In fact, he stayed off the track, never towed the car, and I don't know if he's still there. In fact, a couple drivers went wide and nearly hit the side of Aquino in the sequence. Specifically, Pablo Coimbra had an adventure trying to dodge that car. Michael in the backdrop, going down the Rahal straight. 2 laps down, several cars already with tows.
Yeah, taking a quick look on my side monitor, he's kind of stuck over there in the dirt. It's not looking good for him as Brandon Hawken pulls the fastest lap. Not unusual to see him up there with a 1:37.435. That is a really good lap for this early in the race.
Santiago's had to come in for a fast repair. Also here in a bumping and banging grouping is about 20th on back. They're calling for drivers to work together back there. Up at the front, they are working together for reference. Very clean for the most part early on, trying to catch up to the top 2.
And some names a little farther down, seeing Bachmeier, Burrows down in 8th and 9th. That's surprising. We're used to seeing them in the top 5 or so, but this is still very early on in the race. We have about 35 and a half minutes to go. There's going to be some movement, especially when it comes time to start looking through those pit rotations as we watch. I think that was Brandon in front of Brandon Hawkins going a little bit wide. That would be Liebert.
Liebert, in fact, going deeper into the brakes as well for the corkscrew to get some separation. But for Brandon Hawken, it's been an exciting day. Him and his organization, because earlier today, Logitech McLaren G Challenge North American Open Wheel Grand Final took place, and the driver who took the gold this season, Brandon Hawken. He ended up edging drivers such as Will Fuller and several other big names to secure that victory in the Logitech McLaren G Challenge. Absolutely huge for Brandon Hawken in his racing career. Raced in the Red Bull Ring Masters last year at the end of the year, and now starts off 22 with that, as well as second in this season's championship.
Yeah, with that in mind, taking a look at Otis Adams coming around, trying to make a little push. He's in 8th place at the moment. That's a good move, trying to stay out of too much of the fenders of the cars around him, but really trying to push as we watch him going through turn 3, setting up for turn 4. Now this, after turn 4, is essentially a straight as you're coming up to the bridge here. One of the nice features in real life, you see that Mother's Bridge down there? Up on top in real life, there is a speed readout, so you know how fast you're going when you come down here.
I wonder how hard it would be to do that with the iRacing equivalent. Try and have a speed radar put up there. Do you put it in miles per hour, kilometers? How do you track it? There's a lot to think about there on that mark. Something to think about too.
Yeah, currently it's in miles per hour, which I guess is fair. But I got to tell you, someone who's used to working in kilometers, because a lot of the teams I work with are European teams, everything's in kilometers, meters. It does get a little confusing to have to translate. Oh, got a little bit of a lockup there from Adams as he tries to push ahead a little bit farther going into the corkscrew. It's a bad place to make a mistake. Now, corkscrew, I got to tell you, is one of those spots that'll make or break a lap. You think you're 2-3 tenths up on a lap, you go into the corkscrew, and suddenly, is he going to try it? He's going up underneath them. Oh, we got 2 underneath. 2 underneath into turn 11, final corner, coming out, heading back towards. That is some brave racing.
Adams Jr. pulls the I'm out of this curtain and ends up backing up a little bit to try to avoid trouble. -5 now for the 15 machine after about 7 minutes of racing action. For Espes and Prieto, they've pulled away by 1.3 seconds together. Rick Rumber, who is third on the racetrack. Schmidt is up to 4th, Hawken in 5th. Then Bachmeier leads the main big pack 6th to 11th. Several other smaller packs have grouped together, and this was to be expected. It's not a heavy draft track. It's a rhythm track, as we talked about. Rhythm to the beat of music, as you referred to a bit. And some of the drivers, they're showcasing that.
Yeah, it's easy to see who's found the rhythm so far, but don't count anyone out. As I look down the list here, I see some names like Shane Sullivan, Jordan Bachmeier, Otis Adams even. Really good drivers once they get into that rhythm. But look at Rui Coimbra. He's up there in 3rd. We're used to seeing him in 6 or 7, somewhere around there at this point in the race. So, Rui, you have found the rhythm here, brother. You are looking great hanging there in 3rd as we watch him go through up to the penultimate corner, turn 10. Just get down there into that little scoop and make the way towards that turn 11 for the final run, or for the run towards the start-finish line.
Thing is, though, the top 2 are currently running about 2 to 3 tenths quicker than this entire pack here following along with Schmidt. Give Schmidt credit, it's been a solid season for the 128, has had some strong finishes throughout the campaign, has been in contention a few times for some of the victories, puts in a lot of practice work too, Michael. Always a fixture in the test races.
Also realize he's racing out of the Germany, Austria, Switzerland group. It's 11 o'clock at night there. It's almost tomorrow there. So he's racing pretty late, trying to keep up with Rui as we watch him just try to close up a little bit. Nice hand movement through there. He is really hitting these corners. I think Thomas has gotten into that rhythm and may try to take it away from Rui.
Up the road as these drivers settle on down. Prieto is also trying to do some work here. Here is his viewpoint. A wider view with all those trophies to the right of him, to the right of your screen, should say, to his left, along with that guitar.
Must be a musician in there, being this far up to the front. I wonder if the guitar rhythms that he's used to playing might be helping him. Let's see if he stays on the podium. I think that's something we need to ask him about, if his musicianship helps him out in this track.
He does have experience in karting in Colombia specifically. Has been a fixture in this respective series for a good while, I should say.
So right here we've got back to Thomas Schmidt and Brandon Hawken. I think these two guys may think about working together, because look at that. Rui's starting to open up a gap, just a little bit of a gap, not a lot. But I got to tell you, Rui's one of those drivers I have raced with in iRacing. He's a really smart guy. He knows what he's doing. So expect good things out of him. But if you get Thomas Schmidt and Brandon Hawken working together, that is not a seat I would want to be in.
Especially since Hawken seems to be more in the patient mood today, with success going his direction. The Canadian not been able to find a way up any spots since that start of the race, +3 during that mark. Bachmeier and Liebert, by the way, have pulled away from Lampy, Burrows, Kezia, and Adams Jr.'s pack as well, and they're starting to close up to that pack you were just seeing. Bachmeier leading that charge, picked up 2/10 nearly last time by in the 78.
Right there we had 4 different packs in our view, and these are clear packs. You go to somewhere like Daytona, that's going to close up very quickly with the draft, but here the draft is so inconsequential. It doesn't really do much for you. But watching Rui sitting here running through that corkscrew, opening up just a little bit of a gap. Bachmeier, I think we're used to seeing him being that patient guy. We know him as the patient driver. He sits back, he waits for opportunities. He knows he's probably down to the second. He knows he has 28 minutes and 39 seconds to get to the end of the race. He is absolutely timing this to the last second to get up closer to the front.
Right now, 4 seconds behind the leader, but still within that close range indeed for that battle for the final podium of the season. A little bit of a bump on the brakes, though. Cutting a bit to the right that time. I believe he may have kicked up a little bit of some of the curbing during the braking zone there.
It does get a little crazy out there. And again, iRacing has done a pretty good job of modeling the way the sand falls onto this track. As you see some of the dirt kind of go through the air there, I would imagine next time they come through here, that exact section is going to be a little less grippy than they were used to. Fortunately, it's mostly straight through that section, but it's at a point where you're setting up for that all-important turn 4. So I'm looking forward to watching this next lap to see how these guys set up trying to come through there.
How will that go is the question. Keep in mind, the race leaders are starting to reach a bit of lap traffic up the road who were involved in the early incidents, so that may become a factor in some of these battles as well. Galembra still holds on to this pack. Lee Martin is now letting by the race leaders, it appears, through turn 9, and the rainy curb almost turn 10, in fact, should say. And he decides to do so by just cutting the course.
Yeah, may as well make it really easy for the leaders to get through. Not that he needed to, because both of these guys, Prieto and Espez, are outstanding drivers, just flying through here. But, you know, sometimes that's the easiest pass you can make is when the other guy goes off track.
Lee Martin is still not on the track yet, by the way. He is still in the sand. He is still letting cars go by running in the sand. He has finally found the pavement and is now on the racetrack. The leaders didn't get held up at all from that. 7 tenths now the separation, make it 8 tenths between Espes and Prieto. Meanwhile, Mossman's trying to recover here, and there has been a lot of arguing from this group over the radio.
Yep. Oh, let's go take a look at P3. Oh, as Rui Coimbra's trying to hold on to that position. Brandon Hawken putting his nose in, trying to get around. Can he make it? Oh, this is tight. Looks like Brandon Hawken moves up ahead of Schmidt. Oh, Schmidt takes it back. Schmidt has taken it back. Oh, this is going to be a great battle. Is Rui Coimbra going to be able to capitalize on this and get ahead of them while they battle? Is he going to be a pack of one? I don't know. Jordan Bachmeier's view now has helped him to close up onto the tail end of that 99 car.
I was about to say, Liebert and Bachmeier have both been able to take advantage of that. They closed up a significant margin from that side-by-side through Sector 1 through 3 and 4. But they're back single file for now. They lost about a second plus from all that fighting as an entire grouping. So we're approaching the pit stop window. 25 minutes to go on the clock this time around. That is the opening of that fuel mark. Will any of the race leaders elect to try and come in, or will everyone try and go for less fuel in the tank? One driver is going for the early stop. Liebert's coming in. Contact in the final corner right as they pit.
Fortunately, not too much trouble there. It's a little bit of contact. It didn't affect anybody too much. As we take a look back down, this has become a single pack now. This was 2 packs not 5 minutes ago, but now they are closed up. Oh, as we get, can we take a look over onto turn 1? Big battle, sorry, turn 2. See, I do it too. Turn 2, big battle going on there as Rui Coimbra looks like he's losing out just a little bit to Thomas Schmidt. Schmidt's got his nose up on the inside, gets, a nice bounce off that inside curbing. Tries to tuck it back in underneath, and he's gonna take it.
What a battle for these drivers, but will Liebert, Burrows, and company undercut all this? They are losing a lot of time with this. Calembra nearly slides up into Hawkins' left front tire. Calembra not trying to slow up yet. Hawkins not backing off. Will anyone back up for turn 6? Hawkins will for the Rahal straight.
Good idea for him there. Hawken backing out of that. He's got time to make up. It's not a good point to be trying to push your position. Back out and go back to the fight later. The fight happens right here as you come out of the corkscrew going around the rainy curve. This is where you can start to bring it back. As we see Hawken closing up just a little bit as they come through there. Rui Coimbra getting wiggly coming out. Oh, I think he just a little bit offline as we watch the lights come on. Brandon Hawken running wide. Hey, he's going to take a dive down into the pits. That is a fast run into the pits.
Well, he was already to the left anyway and just cutting off the course, so may as well go for the pit stop, right? Bachmeier decides to do so.
Bachmeier tucking in right behind him. These guys, I think, were making the most of a bad situation. I'd have done the same thing. Hey, I'm offline. It's the pit window. Let's go for it now anyway as we watch both of these come in. Are they going to take tires? That's the question. Looks like right side tires on both, at least. If I'm going to take any tires here, it's going to be right side. I am going to say they're not going to take the left side tires. We're going to see them pull out here in just a second, getting a 15.5 and a 16.1. Bachmeier taking on just a little bit more fuel.
But how big was that battling? Jared Liebert jumped them all. Liebert jumped them both. Burrows has jumped them as well. So a couple of the drivers who went for the early pit call, Michael, who are in that pack, have been able to jump ahead of them position-wise. They haven't been able to ditch them, per se, with Hawken closing up right to the back bumper of Burrows, but they are in front now.
Yep, they are in front now. I would expect Rui Coimbra to be looking towards a pit stop now. He's still trying to chase down Thomas Schmidt, who you see right in front of him. It's a very close gap. If we watch these guys come through the Rahal curve right now, going into turn 10, they may try to push it a little bit and get themselves set up outside to make that run to the pit. It is time, but hey, if you're in the groove and it's working, looks like Thomas Schmidt says, nope, not this lap. As well as Rui Coimbra deciding to run yet another lap on this set of tires and fuel.
Indeed, right now, lots of different windows currently being thought about. You'd have to think at this point. They can go to about 15 minutes to go, as per the trends. How will Miranda did come in this time in the 00. Estes continues to chug along meanwhile, and this gap has fluctuated between a full second to as tight as about 0.2 over the past 10 minutes or so. Keep in mind, Estes, known for his fuel-saving ability, as we talked about. Here's the 00, now up for the right sides as well.
Paulo Miranda taking those right side tires. He's also going to take on fuel. Obviously, he's got to get to the end of the race. Only 21 minutes left. Oh, looks like he's taking 4.
Uh-oh.
This is interesting. Is there enough of a fuel pull here to go ahead and take that extra set of tires, or that extra side of tires? So, it looks a little slow. Maybe we can take a look at his pit time here. Oh, 23.6. That's not bad, but I hope that didn't mess up his race too much. Maybe he's trying to slot in behind a group and get in. But look around him. There's nobody. He's not slotting in anywhere.
He is the only driver so far to have a pit stop in the 20s. On the scheduled side of things, Pandicio, who also pit that lap for reference, had an 18-second stop. That's how dire that situation just became as a result of the 4-tire call compared to the 2. There is Pandicio in the Nexus machine.
Yeah, the fastest stop I'm seeing looks like Ethan Oring at 15.7, I think. Yeah, 15.7 looks like Ethan Oring had the fastest stop. As we switch up here, we go to the guy I'm talking about, Ethan Oring, making a good run here, looking relatively solo. Not a lot of people around him. Heading down into the corkscrew, looking for that ribbon that I wish was there, and chasing down the guy in front of him. How's this going to work out? Can he close that gap up? Those short pit stops certainly help. Making up your time in the pit is way easier than trying to catch someone like Shane Sullivan.
Well, they are on the same team, mind you, with Delta Sport. As a matter of fact, at one point, they were in practice having a bit of fun, where they were trying to bump each other on the pit exit, and after they got back on the racetrack and got themselves rolling to practice, Ethan Oring was sent upside down and sat upside down for a good 5 minutes trying to mash the gas to unflip himself. The 00 of Miranda tried to help unflip Oring. In the end, he had to put his car on the tow truck in practice. Ethan Oring, in turn, finished 3rd in incident points in practice, right behind Shane Sullivan, who you're on board with.
Taking a look at Shane in his red room, trying to make his way through turn 4, coming down toward the Mother's Bridge to get into that left-hand turn. This turn is super banked. It's hard to tell right here, but there's a huge amount of banking in this corner. I can't tell you the number of times I've gone through this track on a track walk with someone new to the track and shown them just how much camber is in that corner as we watch him going up, trying to make his way up that stretch to through 7, into turn 8, the corkscrew coming through 7 right now. Brake, heavy, get the nose turned in, and then let gravity do its thing.
And it's not an easy corner by far, as we've alluded to several times tonight, especially since if you don't know those marks, it's so easy in turn to just go into the turn and completely miss the entire pavement section, forgetting, oh wait, the pavement's on the left, not that part.
Yeah, or pulling as an arty, as one might call it.
Yes.
Yes, pulling as an arty.
Yes, we talked about it earlier, yes.
Oh, yeah, I'm still shocked at that pass. Now, that pass will not work here in iRacing. iRacing will not let you get away with that. Yeah, we're in iRacing's rules, but this is one of the spots right there. You just notice Shane Sullivan going into turn 2. He's able to get pretty far out there onto that extension of the track almost. And, let's take a look here. Brandon Hawken making a run on Jarrett Liebert, trying to really pressure him as they come up into the final corner. Tight onto the brakes. That was turn 4. That was that. Now they're going up the hill towards the corkscrew. I'll learn where this track is one day.
It's the Rahal Straight right now, and Liebert, in fact, has just told Brandon Hawken, take it. Liebert letting the 5 go, or rather, 5 letting the 99 go. Away, it's a swap, and Hawken now leads the pitting group. Estes and Prieto are still on track, mind you, and have yet to pit. 12 drivers are going for the later pit stop call, 13th to 28th. are trying to go after the pit stop earlier on in this race, around the early marks of this one. Adams Jr. amongst those battling with Kezia. You also have drivers like Frank Mossman, who is trying to close up on drivers on his own in 10th.
Now, it's important to note, our effective leader, we're calling Brandon Hawken. He's about 38.7 seconds or so behind the actual leader, which is, as we're used to at this point in the race, Pablo Espez. But what is our pit window? Brandon Hawken, he was in the pits from cone to cone for 38.9 seconds. That gap, 39.7 seconds. Is Pablo Espez going to be able to get into the pits and back out just as fast, taking on less fuel? I think so. He is a fuel sipper. So expect that pit to be a little bit short. And just like last week, when we watched him come out, he was 5 seconds ahead of the effective leader pack, as we called it, as we watch Espez make a dive into the pits for his pit stop.
10 laps to go, this time estimated, so Espez is now in. Prieto, who's been riding in second this whole run, will stretch it one more lap. How will that fare out for the battle for the final race win of the season? Schmidt, Lembra, Kezia, Adams Jr. all also coming in this time. Fuel window is now electric with the drivers coming on in. Harley Harrell able to stay on out, but Drew, Donnie, amongst those who also have to come in, as Espez elects to take the right side tires. Some of the others just now getting on the Jackson. That's how big the advantage was for that champion car.
There he is, pulling out of his pit stall. I wonder if he was listening to us. His pit lane time, though, 40 seconds. It's going to be tight as we watch him come down through this interesting return. This is really difficult. You've got a lot of sand that gets onto the track there, onto that access road. Brings his nose around back onto the throttle, just coming back in front. Oh, and we look at Brandon Hawken. Oh, looks like Brandon is going to not be there. Way behind.
Similar to what we've seen, 5 seconds. If anything, they didn't close up at all before their pit stop calls. They didn't gain any time with their early call compared to Espez and Prieto on that mark then.
Yeah, you got to wonder if there may have been some fighting while we were watching Espez. They may have been trying to fight each other a little bit, as we see. Oh, a little defensive move from him. Oh, good move. Now I wonder if the going wide. Oh, getting wiggly. It looks like he's going to have to give up that position anyway. I wonder if the stewards are going to have something to comment on there, because you can zig, but you can't zag. So that's questionable in my book. I don't know how their rules specifically read, but that looked like a zig and a zag to me.
Rizzo is in, Harlow is in. How will that mistake and that squabble and squaffle and kerfluffle, whatever you want to call it, with Frank Mossman, bear out for this? All the drivers have now pit with Mossman peeling in this time. Prieto just now a 16-2.
Espez is on the front straight. He's coming back. He's about to go under the bridge as we watch coming here. He just crosses the start-finish line, coming down in through turn 1 to the braking zone for turn 2. Hard on the brakes. Where is our leader? Where did Prieto go?
Prieto's gone. Prieto's gone.
He's out. Yes, he's been able to do it. That little kerfluffle going up the hill, that really messed up Espez. But don't put him out, because we've seen him just put the pedal to the metal, get his mind into the game. And as we talking about with this track, he's going to get into the rhythm and come back up. It would not surprise me if he did that.
1.8 seconds now, the gap after the pit stop sequences. That's how big that bobble going down the Rahal straight was for that difference. But will it stay the difference? 12 minutes, under 30 seconds to go. Brandon Hawken leads the main charge. 4.7 seconds back now. Prieto, they are gaining. They've picked up 2/10 this sentence.
So right now, Espez is under a second, or right at a second, I should say, on Prieto, with Hawken about 3.1, 3.2 seconds behind. This little group, they need to start working together. Hawken, Liebert, Burrows, Lampe, and Bachmeyer. They've got to get their ducks in a row, as it were, our little ducks driving in a row. They need to get their ducks in a row and get back up there, or they're just fighting for third. I don't think any of these guys wants third place. Well, they'd settle for third place, but I think each and every one of these guys thinks they can win this race. 11 and a half minutes left to go. They want this bad. And look up front. Espez has closed it down to under a half a second.
What is going on with Prieto? He has dropped off that full second plus in one lap as well. Cato was all over the back bumper for a majority of that lap. The 23 lost a ton of time that time around on the out lap, and now everyone else is trying to catch up again. 4 seconds the gap between second and third. Check that, nearly 3 seconds. But Espez wants the lead.
Espez used to being in the lead. He was playing with Prieto earlier on. They were happy to run together, but now that we're under the 11-minute mark into 10 and a half minutes or so left, it's time to put it back to where he's used to being. Just as you said earlier on, his average finish, first place. So he wants to be back in first place as we watch him get up. Oh, puts the nose out going up the hill, coming up into the braking zone at turn 7, trying to get in the 8, get inside. Nice defensive move, but are we going to have an over-under as he comes back down the hill into the Ray Hall curve?
Getting very, very defensive right now, and keep in mind how big would be a 5th victory of the season go towards the record books. That would be the series record for wins in a season. Even the champions in some of the past campaigns, the most they ever got, 4. And now Espez is trying to become the first 5-time winner in a full season. 10 minutes to go, 7 estimated laps to go. Espez for the race lead. Getting the run to turn 1.
Coming down into it, puts his nose in, gets up on the inside, tries to outbrake him going into turn 2. Oh, tight. This is a nice double apex move as he gets in there and takes the lead over Prieto.
Espez now in the lead. How does the 23 respond? Espez drifting a touch out of the corner, gains time on Prieto. 2/10 the gap once again.
As we watch him going down the Ray Hall straight here, I think I called it the Ray Hall corner. I meant to call it the rainy curve. This trying to run through here. Oh, we got a crash. Oh, looks like Liebert. Oh, had to tow his way back around.
The second pack has exploded. Liebert and several others have crashed. This is the pack for a third on back. Liebert from 4th, clipped the sand, and collected Jordan Bachmeier.
Oh, this is tough. As we watch him come down here into turn 4, got a little bit wide beyond. Bachmeier can't really go anywhere except into the side of him.
2 of the contenders for a top 5 today off the track. Jarrett Liebert has immediately ran from the racetrack. Here is Bachmeier. Nothing the 22 could do once that corner exit came into play.
Yeah, see him going sideways there, hoping, trying to go watching where he thinks he's going to go and not getting into his path, but somehow got a little bit of traction there as he was sliding sideways, brought the car back forward right into Bachmeier's path.
Jake Drew is also now out of the race, a corner after trying to dodge the 22. It was Drew who ended up overrunning through turn 6 into the inside wall. So 3 drivers. Significant incidents in the span of a few seconds. One of the other battles going on, this is for points. Ethan O-Ring has picked up a couple spots from all the craziness. This is now what would be for 12th position. 4 Tires and Miranda are still trying to secure decent points.
Getting around him in turn 1 here as they go into the braking zone for turn 2. Sullivan, king of the brakes there. Oh, might have been a little bit deep as the car behind him's trying to make a look into there. That's going to be Miranda, I believe, who's right behind him.
Yes.
Just trying, hoping those mistakes you can capitalize on as we watch him take their way into turn 4 here. Don't go too wide. Oh, he got a little bit of dirt right there on the last bit of that right at the turn end.
Tony is also within range for this fight as well. Last driver in the points for reference is Nick Carty by about a second over Jose Gonzalez. Several final spots on the line here, Michael. It's been an exciting season, let's put it that way, and it's coming down for some of these spots to the wire.
Taking a look forward on my side screen.
Trouble, O-Ring.
Oh, that's not good. That's going to get right in his teammate Shane Sullivan's way, trying to hold on to the position. Oh, Shane's in a good position here to take this spot back as they go into the braking zone. Oh, it's tight.
That is Miranda they're battling with. Sullivan is way up the road for them. Similar colors to the 00 and the 91, but the 00 nearly got pushed off the track by the Delta Sport driver.
That's some very nice heads-up driving, knowing where your opponent is, pushing him to the absolute limit, but not off. Taking a look back towards the front a little bit on my side, just for information. We'll stay watching these guys. This is an exciting race, but to let our viewers know, we've got about a 4-second gap from Brandon Hawken up to his P2 rival, who's only about a 0.4 of a second off the lead. So Brandon Hawken kind of out on his own. Behind him about 1.2 seconds as we watch here going through the that's some amazing. This is the race I want to see right now. We're going to stick with this. This is amazing.
Brandon nearly got into the door of O-Ring. There was no contact, but the 00 was shoved up high with the later arc. It looks like O-Ring really wants this spot, and he is the biggest mover of the race for a reason, plus 14.
Yeah, 14 places up, that's hard to do. Now, sure, some of them may have come about from people having retirements, but hey, I'll take those too. But a lot of that, you can't get 14 on retirements, not in a short race like this. But it does point to how good of a driver O-Ring is.
And here, some drivers have been incident issues. Sullivan just got disqualified. O-Ring may get disqualified. He is now shouting on the radio, no one touch him.
Yeah, he does not want to be touched. Even a little overly done bump draft could give him that 1 point to put him into DQ range.
O-Ring is now begging no one touch him. Miranda is saying, well, you blocked everywhere.
Yeah, you're blocking, you're going to get touched. That's just the way it works. Now, do you get an incident point for it? It's kind of up to the iRacing.
And he still blocks.
Oh, he's making a big block going up towards start finish. Is he going to give himself that extra point?
Well, he's trying to block. You can't have your cake and eat it too. He's right now trying to take 3 cakes worth of tables of food. Trying to block hard. Parking on the apex of the Andretti hairpin. A couple laps to go. Under 5 minutes to go on the clock.
Getting almost down to 4 minutes. That's going to be about 3 laps. This is a tight race right here. This is in a tiny behind him.
They touched.
Oh, they've touched, but it wasn't enough for a point though. He hasn't magically disappeared from our screens. So maybe it was just late enough that he's able to get away with it. I'm certain he's not excited about having that right now. As we watch, he's opening up a little bit of a gap at this point. He's trying to get out there right now. He's got about 0.2. That is not tight enough, especially going through this section, trying to get up into the corkscrew as he makes his way up the hill to get there. Oh, interesting move. Trying to go wide. Is he trying to fill his mirrors? I'm not sure what Inatani's trying to do right here.
Inatani backing it up now for the exit at the corkscrew, it looks like, too. O-Ring taking a little bit stronger run. Here comes the 017, and this is the run he was trying to set up. Inatani's trying to cut to the left. Another block from O-Ring. Going for the up and under. Inatani, will he give any slack to O-Ring? O-Ring blocks to the wall. Inatani backs up the corner. Watch for the switchback.
Nice defensive position from O-Ring as he comes through there. Gets a good run out, making a dive towards the wall. Inatani taking a look at the wall. I remember a race with a Corvette and a Porsche several years ago, probably over a decade, that had a much different ending than we just saw right there.
Change for the race lead as this has gone on. Coming to a couple laps to go. Espes has lost the lead to Prieto. Prieto sent it hard into the Andretti hairpin. And now leads by 0.3 of a second, approaching 2:30 to go.
Let's take a look at the GSRC replay here as they're coming through the final corner. Nice break, sets it up. Looks like he backed his braking point up just a little bit to get an amazing run as they come down towards the start finish, sitting directly into the draft. He's driving in the exact track. Look at that gap, but it closes. It closes massively going through turn 1. I think Espes may be thinking, oh, it's okay, he's not going to go for it, and then he went for it. Nice move, catches the apex of turn 2, and then makes his way back around through that double apex, ultimately taking the lead.
So that battle is not over, and guess what? They will get an additional lap because they just crossed the line with about 1 minute and 50 seconds to go. Espes, way wide, trying to cut right, squeezes hard on Prieto. Prieto hugs the Andretti hairpin curbs. Prieto with the better run. Espes into turn 3, gets the preferred line back.
Yeah, Prieto going, nope, I know that trick. I'm taking the defensive line as he goes wide, gets wiggly coming out of turn 3.
Near contact as Espes stays on the inside into turn 4. Espes is clear. Espes retakes the lead. Coming up to the white flag, this time by.
I'm sure Espes wishes this was the last lap as we watch. Oh, gets his nose down in there, trying to go into turn 5, looking towards 6 as we come under the VP bridge here. It's going to be a massive run up the hill. Espes needs to open this up. Looks like he's got a little bit of concern, though. He's not as smooth and clean as we're used to seeing, getting a little bumpy on that on the curbing on the outside of the entry to that corner.
Remember, we've seen some good pass attempts set up on the run all the way to turn 10 entry. Prieto trying to take a wider line. This time coming through Rainy Curve, making their way towards the final couple corners of this lap. About 30 seconds to go. Espes looking for history. Prieto looking for his first win of the year.
Nice heavy braking zone coming into this final corner, turn 11. Onto the gas, heading out just every last millimeter they can get. Barney the flagman waving the white flag as there's a decent gap here. We're looking at about 3.5 tenths between these two, but as we know, that closes up very quickly. I expect Espes to take a little more defensive line. Didn't get quite out as far as he did on the previous 2 laps. He's like, nope, this is mine. I'm making history today.
Clock is now at full zeros. Prieto has come close a couple times. Has been known for being decent on the speed charts throughout the season. And this has been the closest he's been all season to a victory. Can he do anything in the final 2 sectors to try and take his first victory in the Big C's MX-5 Challenge this year? Here comes the run out of the Mother's Bridge. Nearly to the inside of Espes as Espes slams the door.
Oh, I feel the Prieto's pain right here. I've been in this position looking for your first win of the season. You know it's right there. You can taste it. But the guy in front of you is just a touch fast. Oh, as he goes wide again. That may have been the same corner that he went a little bit wide. Didn't affect him too much, though, because if we look, he's only about 3.5 tenths off of his tail. That's not enough to take away as we watch him go down through the corkscrew, back towards the right side, looking towards another amazing finish, taking up that inside. Going into turn 10, he takes the lead as he hold it.
Can Prieto hold on after the send to the Rainy Curve? Here comes Espes. One final corner for the season. Later on the brakes is Espes. Espes goes for the cut. Prieto parks it on the apex. Topping around as Prieto tries to block. To the checkered flag for the final time this season. Andreas Prieto wins it at Laguna Seca.
Wow, that was crazy. If we take a look back to P3, though, Burrows in 3. What happened to Hawken?
O-Rain has reached the DQ mark after the battles. Burrows has ripped away third after a lot of battling with Brandon Hawken to close out the race. Hawken had ran out of gas, it looks like, out of the final corners.
Oh, that is heartbreaking. He had such a good gap to third place. Burrows was about a second behind him. As we watched, I think Cardi is in the last position to gain points here in P15. Nope, that would be Paulo Coimbra in last spot. Nick Cardi in 14.
This to round out the points-paying positions indeed in one of the final battles for those positions. Gonzalez does get the spot in front of Nick Cardi. The other way around just a few minutes ago in the last points-paying position, the 65, Al Calembra. Post-race coverage coming up right after this. You're watching GSRC from the Virtual WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Welcome back to GSRC's coverage of the Big C's MX-5 Challenge for the minus 273 post-race show. Whether it's on the real track or the virtual track, minus 273 has one goal in mind: produce the best racing gloves to get the job done. With unmatched comfort, durability, and style, the gloves will leave your old ones in the dust. Find out how they can help you by visiting minus273.biz. Andres Prieto takes the victory in the final corners after a massive send into a rainy curve to score his first victory of Season 6. Pablo Espez tried to have a chance at history, tried to become the first driver to win 5 races in a season. Instead, he has to settle for second. Anthony Burrows finished in third after Brandon Hawken ran out of gas and moved Lampion turn to fourth. Rick Warnbrook quietly in 5th position. Thomas Schmidt, after cutting the course at one point, he cut the corkscrew. He tried to pull a Zernardi. Fortunately, that doesn't work, as mentioned. That's a 6 for him. Kedzia with his best run of the season in 7th. Hawken coasts at home in 8th. Adams Jr., Harlow, the top 10. Harlow his best run of the season.
Bringing up our second 10 in P11, Tomoyasu Inatani, followed by Paulo Morana, Jose Gonzalez, Nick Carty, and Paulo Coimbra, bringing out the top 15 point-paying positions. 16th, Dylan Denhazy, Ryan Pandicio. Ethan Oring had an amazing race going earlier at Jordan Bachmeyer, falling down to 19th, with Lars Toft filling out the top 20.
21st goes to Cato, 1 lap down, involved in the early crashes. Brem was also involved in the early calamity. 22nd is the recovery drive spot. Lee Martin at one point was involved in a crash in the middle of the track, then went off the track completely to let by the race leaders and went on an excursion in the sand. Last driver 1 lap down in 23rd. Sullivan got disqualified for incident limit points. 24th is where he ends up. Jared Liebert 7 laps down, 25th, after a crash in the main packs. Jake Drew also crashed after dodging by some of the drivers involved in that, 26th. Frank Mossman, after a crash on his own, 27th. Gracia, he brought the bottom gear machine to the track today, finished 12 laps down, 28th. Santiago Aquino round out the drivers who started today. For Aquino, didn't even make it half a lap before the crashes started coming. For Andres Prieto, the victory is what comes his direction today. Andreas, congratulations, you're a winner in the Big C's MX-5 Challenge for Season 6.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. It was a difficult race with Pablo there. He's crazy consistent, so excited to get that win. It was a good race with him.
Talk us through those final couple laps, because it got intense. 3 changes for position for the race lead in the final 2 laps.
Yeah, I have a habit. I normally prefer defending on the last lap than I do attacking. So I try to get him maybe 1 or 2 laps before, but he didn't stay behind, and I saw that Brandon was close, so I decided to just tuck him behind him, and try to go for it. And in the last 2 laps, and it worked out. I think he had a bubble on the corkscrew, and that gave me a good exit into the next corner, turn 10 and 11, and I was able to squeeze by him. I'm guessing he was taking care of his championship as well, so he didn't fight it a lot, which was I knew that he was in that position. So yeah, it was exciting.
Well, he actually clinched the championship a few weeks ago, but he was in the chance to become the all-time winningest driver in a single season. Just to clarify on that, if he did take the checker, hence why the battling. But as we talked about, Michael and I, one of the main things is it's a rhythm track, this track. And he compared it to like singing and playing music. With your onboard camera, there is a guitar to your left. Do you mind playing it?
Oh no, I'm terrible at it. I'm just learning. But I wouldn't torture everyone watching with that. But yeah, I love Laguna Seca. Changing subjects, and it's a racetrack that is just 2 hours away from my place, and I race often there, so it's a great track and I love it.
Good to hear that some of that experience definitely came into play here. Anyone you want to thank for the run today?
Yeah, definitely everyone watching, girlfriend, family, everyone that's watching, and also the Frenchy Co, which is my sponsor. You can use my last name as a discount code. They sell pretty cool stuff, so hop onto their website and make sure that you check them out.
Congratulations on the first victory for you of the season to close out the said season.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope I'm able to come back for a full season in this year and keep this going. I've been away from the Sims for a little bit, and I'm just getting back into it. So I'm excited to get back into the rhythm and see that I'm still able to fight for those top spots. So exciting, and thanks guys for the broadcast. It's always great.
Andres Prieto, a winner today here in California, a big victory, in fact, for him. Meanwhile, the next driver standing by, Anthony Burrows, had some adventurous moments, from being the leader in incident points in practice to rounding out the podium. He's with Michael.
So, Anthony, another really nice performance from you. Watching the end of the race, though, trying to keep all eyes looking everywhere, I was noticing you and Brandon Hawkins seemed to have a little bit of a concertina effect. He would run a little faster lap, and then you'd run a faster lap. He'd run a faster lap, you'd run Did you know he was going to run out of fuel, and you were just trying to pressure him? How did that work?
I had no idea he'd run out of fuel. A couple of the guys I was talking to were kind of cutting it a little close, so when I saw him run out, I wasn't too surprised, but yeah, I was trying my heart out to catch him that whole last run, get another podium to, end the season out. And I was just about like a second, 8/10 back, so I wasn't really getting a whole lot of draft. And then right as we were going down to the corkscrew, ran out, and yeah, ended up with another podium this season. Definitely a big improvement this season compared to my other ones in this league. So hopefully we can carry it into the next one whenever that one starts.
So this is probably the biggest gap you've had. Like, it seems like every race when we're watching you run through, that it's less than a tenth to the car in front of you and the car behind you. Did it feel good to have a little breathing room this time?
Oh, for sure. And especially with how inconsistent I was at this track, it was really nice. That whole first run, I had Ethan Lampy helping me out, and he eventually got by. I was all over the place running off the track, and really cleaned up the next run, kind of having a little bit more spacing. So yeah, definitely a lot nicer having a little more space at this track.
So given your performance today, how you've improved through the season, how many podium finishes are you going to have next season?
We'll see. If I can work on
the spot or anything, you know.
I don't know, maybe one or two more, at least improve from this season. Main thing is I got to work on qualifying, because I usually start around like 8th, 9th, 10th every race, and got to work my way through the field most of the time. But if I clean that up, I think I could be fighting up there most weeks. So yeah, we'll have to see.
Well, it sounds like you and I share the same spirit animal. I am terrible at qualifying, but I love racing. So I often find myself getting those hard charger awards. Start off in 9th, but turn 2, you make it to 2nd place. So I think we're going to see great things from you next season. I want to know, though, who do you have to thank for your race today?
Definitely all my buddies. Cam Evan putting the league on. He's amazing at running stuff like this. You guys for putting on the broadcast every week. I always love going back and watching these. And big shout out to everyone at Legacy Esports too. Got Road to Pro coming up in about 2 months, so hopefully we can carry the momentum into that.
Well, break a leg or break an axle, however it works for instead of stage performance, break a leg in that. And hey, thanks for being here. It's always a pleasure watching you race. I think now, though, we've got Justin Prince with Brandon Hawken waiting to tell us about something other than the end of his race.
Yes, indeed. And Brandon Hawken, stellar season for you, we'll say. Again, second in the championship, clinched up last week, getting yourself a new shifter for SHH shifter. But it's been a busy day for you. A very successful victory when it came to the Logic McLaren G Challenge North American Open Wheel Championship. And now today, you add this finish to that day. What's it been like for you today with all this racing that you've had to do with so much on the line?
Yeah, it's been a really busy day. Yeah, I just got finished up with the Logitech race, and man, I was so stoked to get that championship. That was a lot of fun, and a really great season over there. And then yeah, immediately right after that, we got Big C's practice starting up. So yeah, hopped in and. yeah, just tried to get the IRO1 out of my head, and actually wasn't too bad this time. Sometimes, like if I go directly from that car to something else, it's a bit like I have to like retrain my brain. But luckily it wasn't too horrible this time to switch over, and yeah, that was just a really busy day. Didn't quite get the qualifying I wanted, but felt like I had pretty decent race pace. And since it was the last race of the season, and there wasn't too much on the line really, because first and second were locked up. So I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna see what I can do here, and take a lot less gas than I usually would, and. Gained a couple seconds there in the pits, but coming to the line there is going up into the corkscrew, I started sputtering, and I was like, oh no, this ain't good. Coming around the last corner, it just completely died, so I had to just coast to the line. But did all I could there to try and get up there with Andre and Pablo to maybe fight for a win. But they were just a little bit too far away after they separated from the rest of us at the start. And that was just a really great day of racing. And thank you so much to SHH Shifter for sponsoring second place. And I'll be really looking forward to using that new shifter.
Yeah, it's definitely been a wild season to say the very least. And you mentioned some of the challenges going back and forth from car to car. What other challenges did you have to deal with this campaign compared to some of the others in your title defense?
Definitely today. Because the cars are like completely opposite ends of the spectrum. So I think the main part for me was with the IRO1's braking and of course the speed difference. Just getting the speed. Once you go from like the super fast car to a car that's a bit slower, you kind of have that sort of an effect where the slower car feels like slower than it is, and so you kind of have to like get back in the zone sort of, and it had to be a lot easier on the brakes with the IRO1 as well. So just kind of forcing myself to get on the brakes harder, and I felt like I was losing a bit of time there in practice and qualifying. But once I got used to it again, it was all good. And it was a pretty big challenge going from one car to another, especially when the differences in them are so huge. But would have liked to have been up front there, but it was just a really great season overall, and I can't wait to try and not defend, but try to take it back next year. And huge congrats to Pablo, and great job to Andre on the win. And I'm really looking forward to the next season of Big C's. It's always an awesome time racing here, and just a really good time. And we'll see if we can come back stronger. And I definitely learned some things this season. So hopefully we can come back and grab it again.
On that note, anyone you'd like to thank for your season and for your race today?
I'd just like to thank everybody at SRC Movano Corsa, and Cam and Lucas, and all you guys at GSRC, and just for putting this thing on. It's all the series sponsors, SHH Shifter for second, and really great season. Had its ups and downs, but the racing was absolutely stellar throughout the field all year. So we'll see if we can come back and make another run for the championship. And I just love racing here. It's such a good time. So thank you everybody involved, and we'll see you guys next time.
Congratulations on the season, Brandon.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys.
That's Brandon Hawkin. Rounding out our post-race interviews, I'd like to congratulate him and thank him, Burrows and Prieto, for taking the time to speak with us. By the way, for Anthony Burrows, the points are in, and Anthony Burrows, by 3 points with the drops factored in, has won himself some minus 273 racing gloves. So we'll have that to run with Bobby Dale Earnhardt's Legacy Esports, this year's eNASCAR Road to Pro Contender iRacing Series campaigner first round, should say, for Road to Pro competition. But the season is over, and now it's time to reflect, Michael. An exciting finish to the campaign today here in California, but an exciting season overall.
Yeah, Justin, it's This is the time I usually talk a little bit about the race we just had and then what's to come and what the differences are. It's really more appropriate to talk about this season, how tight the racing was. I think this was the first track that we saw any significant gap between cars. Every race we had, everyone was so insanely close, and we're going to see more of that next season. This is a group of drivers who really do get it. They know each other well. They play well together. They got the check marks in kindergarten. They knew what they were doing. We're going to see those check marks for plays well with others again next season. Next season, I think it's going to be even more off the hook than this one was. Some of the most amazing finishes that I've ever seen in iRacing or real life have been right here in the Big C's MX-5 Challenge. And honestly, next season, I am already on the edge of my seat. I had to move my microphone forward so I could sit on the edge of my seat and to say that, because this group is absolutely off the hook. Next season is going to be more of the same. And honestly, I expect it to be even tighter. You just heard Brandon Hawken talking about it. He's learned a little bit. He figured out some things. Everybody has done that. So next season, it's wow. I'm almost without words for what to expect next season. It is going to be completely crazy.
How crazy will it be? Have to wait and see. And how excited are some of the drivers about how they did this season? Anthony Burrows is already glove shopping for that third step on the championship podium. That's how excited the drivers are for what they've been able to achieve and that prize pool for this season. We'd like to thank you for tuning in for tonight's action from the virtual WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna, Seca. We'd also like to thank the sponsors for the Big C's MX-5 Challenges, SHA Shifter, Butt Kicker, and Minus 73 for all the support they have brought once more for Season 6 of the Big C's MX-5 Challenge. We'd also like to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast, now listed on screen, with additional thanks to Jude Lawn, who provides our wonderful music. Screen for how to get a hold of more of our great work. Thanks to the team today for the final race of the season, Michael, Joe, and Dougie. Find more information about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media on screen. Also, check out the merchandise store by going to gsrc.storyby.com. Keep a link in the description to the YouTube version of these broadcasts below. Don't forget to subscribe to said channel, as well as hit the notification bell so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. We have plenty of races coming up for other series listed on screen that go from everything from oval racing to road course racing. Plenty to enjoy, so be sure to check those out and mark them down your calendar. And don't forget, in just a couple hours, the Major Series in its Americas region kicks off its road split season at Watkins Glen International, as well as Porsche Owners Club action. Plenty of action to watch for. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.